Next up is a film called Burial. It's in theaters and on demand September 2nd, and this is a very interesting movie. This is pretty much the closing days of World War II. Bunch of, I guess, what is it? Bruce, Russian troops, Russian soldiers. They are tasked with, one of them is a woman played by, I believe, what's her name? Charlotte Vega. She's the main character in this movie. She and a couple of others, they are tasked with transporting the corpse of Hitler in a coffin to Russia. They're supposed to show Stalin, what's going on post World War II and all that stuff. So that is the premise of Burial. But the problem is, during this road trip, every single time they stop and camp for the night along these grounds, they have to bury the coffin every single night and then wake up and unbury it, put it on the truck, and then keep on going. But then what happens? There's a German troop, several German soldiers who are on their trail to make sure that they actually get possession of Hitler's body. So, and also there's an interesting element of, are there werewolves involved somewhere out in the forest attacking these soldiers? Is it myth? Is there something else? That is the premise behind Burial. Okay, Eric Holmes, your thoughts on this movie?
This plot didn't make sense a lot of the time. They're going to transport Hitler's body, but they don't know that it's Hitler's body, but someone kind of knows it's Hitler's body. And then they run into werewolves that aren't actually werewolves. And then there's
Is that a spoiler? Is that a spoiler? Or you can actually say that?
I don't know.
They're not. Bruce, should we cut that? They're not actually werewolves. We have to cut that, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's not a mystery very long.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, we don't have to cut that.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's part of the
okay.
he's talking about. It's like, okay, doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
if anything I say is a spoiler, just cut it, because a lot of this movie did not make sense to me. For example, they had a scene where someone gets shot and then someone has time to go, oh no, are you okay? Oh, the body's dead. And like that, the timing doesn't match up with, and then, oh geez, this was kind of a by the numbers, and the numbers didn't add up, because a lot of the scenes in this just didn't make sense and were kind of silly and stupid. I mean, there were some a couple of parts here and there that were cool. And then when they finally, they did all the reveal stuff at the very end, dude, the shootout at the end was really weak. All the reveal stuff at the end, yeah, no.
Did it work for you? Okay, so Bruce,
I don't want to air quote give anything away, but like every twist and turn in this was just kind of like, when you see a movie and you don't see it coming, but that's because it doesn't make sense, or like you see it coming, or like the twist happens, you're like, okay, I guess. That was kind of most of this movie.
we have to mention this is also written and directed by Ben Parker. The aforementioned Charlotte Vega, is the main character. She is a female intelligence officer who is the leader of this troop, they're supposed to bring back Hitler to Russia. Tom Felton from Harry Potter fame is also, he plays a citizen who helps along the way, and I don't want to give too much away regarding his character, but he's sort of helping them. He's one of the good guys. And Harriet Walter, who you might know for her role as the matriarch in Succession, she stars at the beginning of the movie. The entire movie is pretty much almost a flashback, which I know is not a big thing that Eric loves, but Harriet Walter, she plays the elderly woman who encounters some kind of racist or some racist thief or skinhead, who knows what, and she captures him, and then she tells him the story that happened years earlier. So that is it. And Bruce, Burial, Eric was not a big fan. How about you?
I'm a little bit bigger fan, but not much of a bigger fan. I liked it a little more than he did. I have to say, first of all, that framing device, it's not a great framing device, but I was really interested in her story at the beginning, and I wish I actually would have stayed with her, because I thought she was awesome. And I thought the older version of her was really interesting, and I could have just gone down a whole story just leading off from that opening thing and not had it be the past, but have the stuff that happened in the past affect the future. Once again, not the movie we had, so I'm reviewing something that doesn't exist. But I mean, it started out really interesting, but then that became kind of superfluous in some way. Either way, I was still kind of in a promising mode on it with it, and overall, I kind of liked some of it. For some reason, I just wasn't very hard on this movie. I was just kind of going with the flow. The flow didn't make a lot of sense, as Eric says. He is absolutely correct about that. But I'm like, okay, we got Hitler in a box. We have to bury it. We got werewolves. We've got a bunch of Nazis and Russians and townspeople and people fighting and things catching on fire and bullets flashing, and I just kind of went with it, and overall kind of enjoyed it, but it definitely it didn't make a major impact on me. It's just like, once again, what we just talked about with Surrogate, like all of the elements here could make a really cool and interesting period piece, but they're not really put together in a very super compelling way.
Real quick, and we can cut this out if we need to. I don't think it's fair to sell this as a werewolf movie, a werewolf
No, it's
versus
not.
Nazi
You're right.
movie.
Yeah. I mean,
The quote werewolves were a real thing, though, which is the only thing this
Yeah.
movie, I gave it credit just because it made me look it up.
Yeah. But I will agree with Bruce though. To say something nice about this movie is I love the bookends of this. The beginning part and the end part. It's all that stuff in the middle where it's like, let me tell you my story, and then they go, the whole movie's
It's like, no, don't. Why don't you just have
it's
something
like,
happen
let's
now?
just- we can shorten this up. It's cool. let's get back to the present day where the cool shit's going on.
speaking of cool-ish, remember that movie, The Cursed? The Cursed, that you and I,
Yes.
yeah. This movie reminded me of it. Not as awesome as The Cursed, but I still love this movie a lot. A lot. And first of all, Charlotte Vega, I remember her from The Lodgers, so I was all Charlotte Vega, yeah. I was already invested in her as a lead. Love to see her in a lead in this movie, and she does a pretty good job. That said, Bruce, you were talking about the elderly version of her, played by Harriet Walter. She is such just an interesting actress that I wanted that in that movie too. And like Eric was saying, the bookends are fantastic, especially the final moment with Harriet Walter's character. You get to see what's going on. Yeah, there's all these werewolves or not. There's Hitler in a coffin. There's Bolsheviks, people yelling, "You Bolshevik!" There's Russians and Nazis, and there's a lot of shootouts in this movie, and there's just a lot of weird things happen. This could have been if Ben Parker went for a B movie, like a cheesy, campy B movie where it just really invests maybe in the gore or the action. Might have been really interesting, but he decides to actually frame it as a straight up, with all of these weird elements, as a drama in many ways. The production design, it looks really pretty. I mean, actually, I'm watching it. There's some really beautiful shots. Some of the shooting's far away, so it's not really visceral. Some of the action's not visceral. But overall, this movie is a very brutal one. There's a sequence where one of the characters, you're actually for me, I was kind of invested in, and I'm thinking, okay, so this character is gonna, I wonder what this arc. Oh wait, that person just got shot. Done. So, side of the road. What happened? So I really loved how a lot of the characters in this movie really, they just get it, and they like literally get it. They die. This is a brutal World War II film with some werewolf elements. Overall, I really loved Burial as a genre film. It's a prettified genre film. Even though I say it's brutal, it doesn't go the cheesy, campy route, which, I don't know. I'm fine with the way Ben Parker framed this movie, and it's just a weird movie to talk about, because, Bruce, you were talking about all these weird elements that are in this puzzle, and for some reason they just fit for me. They just fit. So for me,
I had a feeling it might.
I enjoyed this movie. And look, it's 95 minutes. I would have been fine with a 2-hour film. So yeah, writer-director Ben Parker, it's a talent that the genre's horror mystery thriller. I'm all on board with Burial. And are there any flaws? Maybe there might be a Charlotte Vega monologue towards the third act, which I said, okay, we didn't need this. Let's just stick to the action. But overall, I was highly engaged with Burial. I'm giving this movie 4.5 out of 5 stars. Eric, your rating on Burial?
For the bookends alone, probably 2.5. I would say watch the first 10, 15 minutes or whatever. Put in Dog Soldiers, watch that, and then watch the last 5 or 10 minutes. And that's probably a better movie, I think.
Okay, so Eric Holmes, you give it 2.5 stars. Bruce, what do you give it?
Well, first of all, I'm going to do my alternate version of what Eric just said and give you another version of that. Watch the beginning part, like he said. Watch Overlord, and then watch the last part. But either way, I would give this 3 stars. I think it's a mild recommend. I thought it was pretty fun.
Okay, cool. So that's 3 stars for Bruce, 2.5 stars for Eric, and 4.5 for me. in theaters and on demand September 2nd. Right now, as we speak, Rotten Tomatoes, 87% rating. Who knows, on Friday it might go down to 50%, or it might go, who knows what'll happen. 87% right now, so I'm hoping there will be people on board. Actually, Bruce, you gave it a little bit of a mild recommended 3, so
Yeah.
that's not
I
so
didn't
bad.
hate my time with it. I just wasn't like, you know.